365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply.
At Shane Company, we know getting engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know. That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Welcome to Disneyland.
Get excited to join the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration. Because it's not a celebration without you. With all the decor, the new character outfits, and dazzling shows. Everyone's excited to join. Delight in special 70th experiences, like an all-new World of Color show, the returning favorite Paint the Night Parade, and so much more. The fun starts May 16th, 2025, only for a limited time. So come join us for this once-in-a-lifetime celebration with a special ticket offer as low as $100 per day with a special 4-day, 1-park-per-day ticket. Total price $400. Valid May 16 through August 14, 2025. Park ticket and reservation required. Visit Disneyland.com/70 ticket offer for details. Offering subject to capacity restrictions and change without notice.
Get tattooed by award-winning tattoo artists at the Grand Canyon Tattoo Convention, Friday, May 2nd through Sunday, May 4th at the Phoenix Shrine Auditorium. Artists from all over the world specializing in black and gray, traditional, new school, and more will be on site ready to tattoo. Enjoy free parking, food, daily tattoo competitions, and more. Hours are Friday 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday noon to 10 p.m., and Sunday noon to 6 p.m. Get your tickets at the door, $30 for the entire weekend. The Grand Canyon Tattoo Convention, May 2nd through May 4th at the Phoenix Shrine Auditorium. Brought to you by Bacanora, Gypsy Rose Tattoo, and Shack Builds.
Yo, this is Flavor Flav, and I am coming at you with one of my flavor faves, Raisin Cane's. So when you're looking for flavor fast, order in a flash, online or on their app. Raisin Cane's. One love.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Recapping what the Cardinals were able to accomplish in the 2025 NFL Draft, attempting to understand what happened this past weekend with the Diamondbacks, and oh boy, are we concerned about one aspect of that team. Welcome into the Monday edition of the Lunch Break here on KDUS AM 1060, streaming on the KDUS AM 1060 app, and you can watch us over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. Chris Schubert with you. We got Evan behind the glass, pushing all the buttons, making things possible, taking your phone calls at 480-864-1060. We mentioned the YouTube live stream. You can always interact with us over there as well. A very busy Monday shows are always jam-packed, always a lot to digest, to try to understand from over the weekend, and even more so when you have rounds 2, 3, and then day 3 of the NFL Draft to react to as well. And we plan to get to it all today here on the program. But unfortunately, we have to start with the baseball team.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
A rough series for the Diamondbacks. They're able to salvage the finale. But after losing the last 2 to the Tampa Bay Rays, they lost the first 2 in this series to Atlanta. Had to snap a 4-game losing streak yesterday. And I think the only right way to do this, to break this down, is to go in order. To start with Friday. Because Friday was a continuation of what we had seen from this team over the last couple of days. You lose the last 2 against the Rays in extra innings. You're kind of feeling like things just aren't breaking your way. Your bullpen is becoming more and more of a question mark with each passing day, with each passing game, with each passing inning. And what happens on Friday? You get behind the 8 ball. You send Zach Gallen to the mound to take on Chris Sale. And before the bottom of the second inning, you are already facing a 3-0 deficit for a team that over the last 2 days watched the leads evaporate, watched their bullpen give things away, watched their offense not be able to come through in extra innings against Tampa. They dig themselves a 3-0 hole, and it's a hole that they were unable to dig themselves out of. That was Friday. That was a continuation of what we saw against Tampa, leading us right into that game on Friday. And then there is Saturday, which is easily, put it on the list, put it number 1. You can write it down in Sharpie. You don't need to use a pencil with an eraser. We're not changing this, I don't think, for a long time. Saturday was the worst loss of the season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. You have a 6-2 lead. It's only been done. Think about the history of the game of baseball. Think about how many players have played the game of baseball. Think for just a moment about how many records we have in baseball. Think about the documentation that we have about the game of baseball. Goes back further than any other sport that we talk about on this program. You got pages and pages, books upon books, encyclopedias worth of information about the sport of baseball. Eugenio Suarez did something on Saturday that only before he did it, 18 others had done so in the history of the game of baseball, and that is have a 4-home run game. But Eugenio Suarez finds himself on the wrong side of history because he is one of 3 people to have that 4-home run game and their team not win the game. And the 4th home run that he hit, the team needed to bail them out of trouble because once again, the bullpen blew it. The bullpen went sideways. A 6-2 lead evaporated. A 4-home run performance from Eugenio Suarez. You know what? Eugenio Suarez had such a good game that we almost have to retire the bid. It's gone. It's over. Eugenio Suarez is the third baseman. Jordan Lawler, you're going to have to wait your turn. I know you continue to be doing well down in the minor leagues, but the bid may have to be retired here today on the air. Eugenio Suarez has a 4-home run game. You know what happens with Gino. You know what you're going to get defensively, although he had a miscue over the weekend. You're going to get these streaky power runs from him. You got one over the weekend to the tune of 4 home runs, and yet you still lost the game. The worst loss of the season. Evan said something to me right before we went on air. The Diamondbacks have lost 2 games this season. One in which a guy hit 4 home runs and they still lost, and another in which they scored 10 runs in an inning.
They become only the 7th team in Major League history to score 10 runs in an inning and lose the game, and only the 3rd team to lose a game while a player hits 4 home runs. A player hitting 4 home runs is more rare than a perfect game. There's been more perfect games in the history of baseball than a 4 home run game. And by the way, the only 2 other losses, one came in 1986. The Braves lost a game. And then the next one is in 1896, pre what we call the modern era of baseball, which starts in 1900.
We need to start a list. We need to start a list of weird ways that the Diamondbacks have lost baseball games. Guy hits 4 home runs, still lose. Score 10 runs in the 8th inning, still lose. And by the way, if you notice, both of those games have a very similar theme to them, where the bullpen gives it away. But we need to start keeping track of these games because you saw last year how thin the margin was between making the playoffs in the National League and being at home. You saw it was as thin as it could get. It required tiebreakers. 3 teams all had the same record. It was down to tiebreakers to determine who got the last couple of spots in the National League wildcard race. So we know going into this season how thin this margin is going to be. And so games like this, games like 10 runs in the 8th inning and still finding a way to lose, those games, they could potentially loom very large. So I think what we need to do, producer Evan, on our show rundown that you and I use, we need to create a list and write down these games as they happen. Write down games like we scored 10 runs in the 8th inning and we still lose. We have a guy do something that only 18 other players before Eugenio Suarez did it the other night have done in the history of the game, and yet we still lose. And then yesterday, we can somewhat end on a good note. Yesterday, thank goodness that you have Brendan Pfaadt on your team, because Brendan Pfaadt is entering what I would like to describe as the circle of trust. And so far, I think in the 2025 season for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and maybe we'll solicit phone calls on this, maybe we'll ask you on the YouTube live stream who you want to admit to the Diamondbacks circle of trust, because this is a very exclusive club. This is VIPs only. I mean, you have to get an invitation to the circle of trust. We don't just let anybody in to the circle of trust. But I think there are 3 people that deserve a spot in the circle of trust. And Brendan Pfaadt is one of those people, because in every start but one this season, he has given you 6 innings. And Brendan Pfaadt played the role yesterday like he has played numerous times this season. And that is the streak stopper. 4-game losing streak, I'm not going to make it 5. I'm going to give you 6 solid innings, and I'm going to give us a chance to win a baseball game. Because if not, we're coming in here today talking about a team that has lost 5 games in a row. We're coming in here talking about a team where the wheels are falling apart everywhere. Zach Gallen didn't pitch great on Friday night. The bullpen, day after day, continues to be a story. Trust me, I saw what the radar gun was saying about Justin Martinez last night. We're going to get to that at some point today. Big red flashing alarm bells going off around this team right now. And oh, by the way, they're about to start what I would describe as their first real test of this season. It's going to start tomorrow, and it's going to go for the next 16 games. Not really going into that stretch on a good note. It is the same issues that have been plaguing this team for the last week or so that reared their ugly head over the weekend. The circle of trust for the Arizona Diamondbacks is 3 players right now. It's Brendan Pfaadt. It's Corbin Carroll, even though he's in a mini slump right now. And it's Justin Martinez. And I don't know how locked in Justin Martinez's slot is into the circle of trust. But that is it. Those are the only players that I am willing to admit into the circle of trust for the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2025. I'll hear arguments from you for other people if you want to consider some other people. But right now, the circle of trust. And what does that mean? You're reliable. You're consistent. I know what I'm going to get from you when you are out there on the field. I don't know if anybody other than those 3 gentlemen deserve inclusion into the circle of trust. But we are reaching somewhat of a key moment in this season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 28 games or so into the season, still 100-plus games left to be played. I get that. I understand that. But there are some warning signs. There's some alarm bells that I think need to start going off from everybody. Because you have a 6-2 lead on Saturday, evaporated, just gone. And you could see the wheels falling off. Who do you trust down there in the bullpen? Who do you ask to get the final 3 outs if Justin Martinez isn't available? When Justin Martinez is available, who are you asking to bridge that gap to get the 6-9 outs to set up for Justin Martinez? It is just an everyday adventure. It is an excursion every day for Torey Lovullo to try to figure out how he's going to get these outs. And oh, by the way, on top of that, you have one of your other high-leverage relievers who's hurt right now, and the other high-leverage reliever that we envision being part of this perfect bullpen has yet to throw a pitch at the big league level because he got hurt, and he's undergoing a minor league rehab assignment right now. Just so many questions across the board with one specific position group for this team. They are losing games because Torey Lovullo gets to the ballpark, and he doesn't know how he's going to get 27 outs. He has a good idea how he's probably getting 18 of those 27 outs, maybe 21 of those 27 outs, but he doesn't have a consistent, reliable, ready to deploy every single day roadmap to get 27 outs. And that is probably the worst place you can be as a manager. It is a guessing game every single day for Torey to try to figure out what he's going to do. And then on top of that, and again, we're going to dive into this a little bit later on in the program because I pulled the numbers. But now, the guy that's in the circle of trust, the one reliever that we have nominated to be in there, his velocity was down last night. So how reliable, how much faith can Torey put into Justin Martinez, who is just coming back from needing to sit for 6 days because of fatigue. So even the one guy we all this season have watched go out there and just throw zeros on the scoreboard, I don't even know if that guy is reliable right now for this bullpen. And they're about to start a 16-game stretch that is going to tell us a lot about this baseball team. And you wish it was this 16-game stretch was coming when this team was healthier, when this team was playing some of their better baseball. But guess what? The schedule gives you what the schedule is going to give you, and it is giving us a massive, massive test for this baseball team. A tough weekend. They salvaged it yesterday by getting out of there with the victory and salvaging the series finale. But the final 2 games against Tampa, the first 2 games of this Atlanta series, 2 games already in the first 28 where you've just given games away. You would hate for that to come back to haunt this team. You would hate for us to get to the end of the season and break out that list, and producer Evan is listing off 5 or 7 games that the Diamondbacks just gave away. It would be a real tough list for us to break down towards the end of the season. We'll have more on the Diamondbacks throughout the course of the program. I'd love to hear from you on this. 480-864-1060 is the phone number. We've also got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. When we come back, Cardinals draft class, it's complete. So how did they do? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
James Out West, your home for sports down here in the desert. Join James and Pat the Stat Guy as they recap the weekend and dive deep into the numbers for the NFL, NBA, college sports, and more.
That's 5 seasons of 1,200 yards.
Player stats, team numbers, and contracts are just the start of the discussion for James and Pat.
He started 815 career games. He threw 749 complete games.
There's no hiding when it comes to stats. It's James Out West every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060 and on the KTUS 1060 app.
An MLS showdown in the desert. Get ready for a night of top-tier soccer as Phoenix Rising hosts Major League Soccer's Houston Dynamo for the first time ever, Wednesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. It's a round of 32 clash in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and tickets start at just $9. The first 2,000 fans from the gates will score a limited edition Phoenix Rising t-shirt, and the night features fan-favorite drink specials throughout the stadium. It's more than a match. It's a moment. Bring the noise. Bring your jersey. Bring a friend or 5. Get your tickets now at phxrisingfc.com.
Lincoln Park. From Zero World Tour 2025.
You ready? Yes, you cut me open just to watch me.
Live in Phoenix. Footprint Center, Saturday, September 6th, with special guest Gene Dawson. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit lincolnpark.com.
It starts with a simple order, a cold Dos Equis dressed with salt and lime. But for the salt clinging to the bottle and the lime perched on top, this is the luckiest of unions. As if the universe has swiped right, pairing flavors together with a crisp Dos Equis. This is refreshment designed by fate, blessed by destiny, and served by bartenders. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2024 Dos Equis, imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Life's better with American Family Insurance. Because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. In terms of star power, this year's NFL draft class really is not that sexy, but that does not mean that day one did not deliver. And it started early when Jacksonville took that enormous swing to move up and grab Travis Hunter with the second pick. Brass move. And it did not come cheap either. But they're hoping he's a prime example of getting what you pay for. Speaking of prime, what happened to his son, Shedeur Sanders, somehow went from being a possible top pick in the draft only a few months back to falling out of the first round altogether. Question is, did he slide, or is this the way the league has viewed him all along? As always, the answer is yes. You can't tell me the Sanders family circus had nothing to do with this slide, but at the same time, if the league truly believed that he was a transformative player, he absolutely would have been taken regardless of having that circus show up at their doorstep. Was he just not worth all the additional noise, or was he just seen as not good enough? Again, the answer is yes. I'm Jim Rome.
O'Reilly! Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention all clones. The Jim Rome Show is here for you every day here on KDUS AM 1060.
Lots to get done. Welcome to the program.
Listen in as Rome dives into the biggest sports headlines of the day. From final scores, player contracts and trades, team prospects, and even a spicy take or two. The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. every weekday here on KDUS AM 1060.
That's the trick.
Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
The work is done. The 2025 NFL Draft is in the books. Cardinals, after having what I thought was an excellent night one with the selection of Walter Nolan with the 16th overall pick, followed it up with a weekend of selections, and now we get to break down what they were able to accomplish. And I think the right place to start is to just look at this positionally, to not discuss any of the names. What they did across all of their picks, I'll go in order. D tackle, corner, edge, linebacker, corner, guard, safety. If you picked up on the theme, the Cardinals invested heavily on the defensive side of the ball. All but one selection was on the defensive side of the ball for the Arizona Cardinals, a group that everybody saw as a much-needed area of improvement for this team. Didn't have the juice up front to get after the quarterback, to put pressure on Brock Purdy twice a year, to put pressure on Geno Smith twice a year, now Sam Darnold, to put pressure on Matthew Stafford twice a year, all the other NFC quarterbacks that they're going to go up against. Nobody felt like they were a feared group up front. It was going to be a nice, easy day at the office when you drew the Arizona Cardinals because they may get pressure here and there, but it was not sustained. It wasn't constant chaos. It wasn't throwing a quarterback off platform. And that's what you have to do in today's game. You can have the best corners in the world. Quarterbacks are going to be able to find tight windows. They're going to be able to make those throws. The way you generate a difference on defense is getting these quarterbacks out in space, throwing them off platform, and allowing your DBs to try to make plays. And that's what the Cardinals lacked last season. No sustained pressure. Quarterbacks could just dissect the defense. I think we all would agree they had a pretty good secondary last year. It was just those guys were getting picked on because they can't match up with wide receivers. They can't guard wide receivers forever. And so there needed to be a heavy emphasis on the defensive side of the ball. You saw it in free agency, and now you saw it in the draft with all but one selection coming on the defensive side of the ball. So other than foregoing a wide receiver with any of their picks, isn't this exactly what we wanted the team to do? Isn't this exactly the roadmap that we outlined for this team for the NFL draft? Defense, defense, defense. Go back to what we said the positions we would target were. Defensive tackle, edge, corner, wide receiver, offensive line. Other than not taking a wide receiver, which I think is a mistake. I think they missed an opportunity there, but okay. They did exactly what we wanted to see them do every other spot in this draft. So just from that view alone, you have to love what the Cardinals did. You have to love that their approach and their vision for the draft matched our vision and our approach for the draft. What we saw wrong with this team, they also saw wrong with this team. Even after investing resources on defense, they said, no, we're not done there. We're not stopping here. We're going to double down. We're going to triple down. You have to love that part of this for the Arizona Cardinals.
I also thought they attacked a lot of experience in the draft. Not a lot of guys who, only played 1 year. They, especially as you got deep down the board, you went 2-3 year starters. Birch is a guy who's played a lot of football and was extremely productive. Listen, sacks in college football aren't always numbers that jump out at you. It's just a different game than the NFL. Ball comes out faster. Quarterbacks have 1 to 2 reads. So sacks and production numbers just aren't as high. And to see a guy like Birch, who missed 4 games last year, still have 8.5 sacks, that's outside of what they did in round 1 and 2. Cody Simon, another guy who's played a ton of football. I really like what they did at the bottom half of the draft. And the one offensive pick they made was guard, which is a position we've talked about that they needed to be deeper at. And another guy, Connor's played a lot of football at Texas and has seen a lot of different great players in the SEC. So, listen, they went for experience. We talked about it with their first round pick with Walter Nolan. They went substance over sizzle, and it kind of continued through the entire draft.
Yeah, it was their theme for the whole thing. This isn't going to be flashy. It's not going to be sexy, but we're going to go trench. We're going to take a D tackle. We're going to take an edge. We're going to take a linebacker. We're going to beef up the front 7. We're going to take some extra depth on the back. Now, are all of these guys going to end up being major contributors and starters? No, that's just not how the NFL draft works. That's not how the hit rate on these picks work. But yeah, it's process oriented. And I love the process from Monty in this draft. And let's face it, you can say all of the nice things about Monty's first 2 drafts, right? You can say all of the niceties of what he was able to accomplish. It's different when you're picking where they were picking this year. It shows me a little more about your ability to have a well thought out process. And I think they passed with flying colors. And it has taken us nearly the entire segment to talk about what may be one of the steals of the draft, that the Cardinals get a guy that we thought they might need to take at 16. They get at 47 because injuries move him down the board. They snag Will Johnson on round 2. And if you're concerned about the medicals, if you're concerned about what his knee might potentially look like down the road, just know the Cardinals were definitely doing work on Will Johnson as a first-round player. He slips into the second round. They felt comfortable with where his medicals were in comparison to the value they were getting where they took him. And oh, by the way, this is not the first time that the Cardinals have taken a corner on day 2 of the draft. This regime, a corner on day 2 of the draft that has a knee injury and had some questionable medicals. Does everybody remember this team drafting Garrett Williams where they did? Guy who was coming off of knee surgery, and if it wasn't for that knee injury, if it wasn't for that knee surgery, was going to be a first-round pick. Sound familiar? So I trust the Cardinals. I trust their medical staff to have checked this out, and they felt very comfortable. And if Will Johnson, whatever the long-term concerns are with his knee, because it's more of a long-term thing than it is a short-term thing, if that pans out and it is not a short-term issue, the Cardinals just got to steal at 47. They got somebody who is a lockdown, shutdown corner to go alongside with what they drafted a couple years ago in Garrett Williams. And that's just, it was a freebie. Oh, I'll just take him at 47. Oh, could have taken him at 16. Well, nah, we'll just wait. Take him on day 2. An absolute steal. An absolute home run. You also saw them take 2 kids out of Ohio State to continue that pipeline. They clearly have an affinity for certain programs that they know produce NFL players at a pretty high clip. I think overall a really great job by the Cardinals. Mel Kiper gave it a B-, although should we be mentioning Mel Kiper's name these days after the weekend that he had?
That has to be one of the worst weekends in sports media I've seen in a long time.
It was not a great weekend for Mel Kiper. I don't know if you had that save for the leftovers. I didn't want to quick snap you there.
No, I didn't.
But boy, was it a bad weekend for Mel Kiper Jr. because after night 1, and we talked about it, and by the way, I'll throw my hands up. I was wrong on the Shedeur Sanders stuff. I thought he was a lock to go at the top of day 2. Didn't even make it. Day 3 got selected. But not only we talked about the Cardinals doubling down on their draft philosophy and their free agency offseason philosophy. Mel Kiper doubled and tripled down on his slander for the rest of the NFL for what they did, or what he thinks they did, to Shedeur Sanders by allowing him to slide all the way into day 3 and into the latter stages where the Browns ended up taking with their 5th round pick is where he went.
5th round.
So he had
144th pick.
Tough weekend for Mel, but he gave them a B-. So that's what he graded the Arizona Cardinals at. PFF. Now, do you think PFF hurt us because they went to letter grades for their overall draft class grades? We were critical of them on Friday with this elite, good, very good, trying to figure out what it all meant. They went to letter grades, and I'd like to think that maybe we played a role in that. They gave the Cardinals draft an A+. Chad Rauter of NFL.com gave it an A-. So great remarks across the board for the Cardinals for what they were able to accomplish. And yeah, I would agree 100% with these grades, because you substance over sizzle. We said that on Friday. That was our takeaway from night 1. It was sizzle for the first couple of years. This was just a good old-fashioned meat and potatoes draft. We're just going to beef up the interior of our defensive line. We're going to beef up our secondary. We're going to beef up our linebacker group. We're just going to beef up in areas that we think we need to get better after already addressing those in free agency. I was very happy with what the Cardinals accomplished this weekend. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. It's not a bunch of skill position players that can get everybody excited for fantasy football, but it is the type of draft where we had a major question mark about where this defense was. And we'll talk about this a little bit in hour number 2 of the program. You start to get the feeling that our concerns may shift back towards what the offense is going to be able to do over what the defense is going to be able to do. 480-864-1060, the phone number. You can also join us over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Would love to hear from you over there as well. The example we always use, you're at work, the boss is lingering around. You can't always just pick up the phone and talk to producer Evan or talk to me here on the air. You just type. You just join Michael over there. John's over there. We got the P1s over there hanging out. So you can go join them. Would love to hear from you on everything Cardinals, the draft, the Diamondbacks, whatever's on your mind. Would love to hear from you today over the course of the program. When we come back, we have spent so much time on Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. But what about the rest of the roster? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Phoenix, are you ready to ascend? Bring Me the Horizon, USA Ascension Program, Part 1.
Every sky will build, my friend.
Taking over Footprint Center, October 2nd, with special guest
Crawling from hell.
Motionless in White, The Plot in You, and Amira El Fiki. On sale now at livenation.com. Bring Me the Horizon, presented by the Big Red Radio.
You wanted to see me, Ron?
Yeah. See that woman sitting there? When did we hire her?
Oh, we didn't hire her. It's Take Your Mom to Work Day.
I've never heard of that.
Saw it on the internet.
Oh, boy.
Hey, guys. It's neat that Gary has a mom and all, but shouldn't we be talking about Alaskifications?
That's why I brought Mom in.
I'm sure she's a lovely lady, but she can't promise a 1-year no breakdown guarantee the way Alaskan AC does.
Nope.
And she doesn't promise lower energy bills the way Alaskan AC does.
Nope.
And she doesn't make sure people's air conditioner lasts longer than average, the way Alaskan AC does.
Nope. But she sings.
If you want your AC to last all summer long, with an Alaska vacation, it will always blow strong.
Wow.
Double wow.
Thanks, Mom.
Anything for the president of the company. How long have you two boys worked for Gary?
Gary.
Hey, gotta go. Promise to take Mom to lunch. Bye.
If you want your AC to last all summer long, with an Alaska vacation, it will always blow strong.
Schedule now at alaskanac.com.
When my wife and I got married after both graduating law school, we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Ultima had to give me her gas card just to drive home. We never could have imagined that one day we would have the largest injury firm in the world and $25 billion in money collected and counting. As good Catholics, we had 4 children fast. They all work in the firm today. Our family protecting yours. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. But our greatest gift was years away, grandchildren. Today we have 6 and counting. It's the greatest joy that we have ever experienced. I think about them all day long. Our family promises to protect your family should you need us. Call us. It's easy. Visit forthepeople.com and make sure you hug your grandchildren. God's final gift to us. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Come visit the all-new Wekopa Casino Resort, formerly Fort McDowell Casino. Whether you're visiting for slots, table games, the Valley's favorite bingo hall, golf, or food, our new smoke-free casino resort is the place to be. Enjoy a fine dining experience like no other at Ember, or go for the lively crowd at WKP Sportsbook and Bar. Wekopa offers 2 top 10 golf courses in the state, and the resort with heated pools and cabanas is the perfect place to relax. Come experience Wekopa Casino Resort today. At Wekopa, we have the best of it all.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh, my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
While we await some news on what the Suns are going to do with their restructuring, if that's what we want to call it, of their front office, it might make some sense for us to get ahead of what the offseason may look like for this team. And we've spent so much time discussing Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, obviously the biggest names that are going to be on the move this offseason, the biggest contracts that are going to be on the move this offseason. But honestly, what may turn this for the Phoenix Suns quicker than maybe some people expect is what they do underneath all of that, what the rest of this roster looks like. And so I was poking around over the weekend, and I found myself just looking at the contract table for the Phoenix Suns of what they have locked up contract-wise over the next couple of years. And obviously, Devin Booker aside, obviously Ryan Dunn aside on a rookie contract. Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal are 2 names that people obviously are going to be paying attention to. Both of those guys have 3 years left on their deal. The team has 3 restricted free agents. They have Jalen Bridges, Colin Gillespie, and Ty Washington. And they have a couple of unrestricted free agents. They have Mason Plumlee. They have Tyus Jones. They have Monte Morris. They have Bol. They have Damon Lee. That's the guys that are without a contract. They're going to hit free agency, and the Suns can choose whether or not they want to bring them back. So those are the guys that may or may not be here next season for the Phoenix Suns. And there are some names that I think just make sense to move on from. I think Tyus Jones, everybody would agree, that didn't work out. Was supposed to be the veteran point guard, was supposed to solve that problem that the Phoenix Suns had, specifically in the second half 2 seasons ago, where they were just giving games away because they didn't have that veteran to lean on to calm things down, to facilitate the basketball. And they thought they solved that with Tyus Jones. And we were talking in January and February about replacing him with Colin Gillespie as the starting point guard. Monte Morris was another veteran they brought in to help make that room better. I don't think we need to rehash the same conversation we had about Tyus Jones. Mason Plumlee, I think, is somebody that if it was the same regime, same coaching staff, would maybe be brought back, but I don't see Mason Plumlee being here next season. Producer Evan, do we dare have the Bol conversation?
Puts people in the seats.
You know what? It's a great point. It does make people listen, but I don't know. I think the perception of Bol and what people think of Bol is different from the reality of what Bol is.
But then there was that report not too long ago that we read in the morning meeting that teams around the league are interested.
Yes, there's potential there. I'm not saying that there's not potential with Bol. I always stop short when people talk about Bol and then they also mention Wemby. Like, you just lose me. Like, we
okay, that's crazy.
Right. They're like, oh, he was doing things that Wemby is doing now before Wemby was in the league. It's like, sure, but Wemby's a more finished product. Wemby's more consistent. Wemby's a lot of things that Bol isn't, right? There's a drive there with Wemby that I think people think doesn't exist with Bol. Like, you just lose me when that's the backstop of the conversation. I look at Wemby and I look at Bol and I see two very different players. There's a lot of potential with Bol, right? There's so much potential of the size, the athleticism. A guy that big, that long shouldn't be able to be that athletic. I get it. I understand all of the reasons why you would want to keep Bol around. I just don't. You have to understand, if they bring Bol back, he's a rotational piece at best right now. And you have to ask yourself, does he fit the vision? Does he fit the new identity that this team is going to try to create? Because they want to be more defensively tough. They want to have more intensity. Does Bol fit with that? Because the reason why Bol couldn't draw into the lineup was he reportedly did, well, not reportedly, we saw it with our own two eyes, didn't get involved when Steven Adams brought down Mason Plumlee. It doesn't fit with an intensity, backing up your teammates, a toughness, right? I just don't know. He's the only guy on this list that I could make a case for bringing back, but I just don't know, because I don't want Bol to be back on this team and for everybody's expectations of what Bol should be for this team to be wildly out of proportion.
I do think had Bol got more minutes at the end of the season, this whole bring him back, the rage on Bol would have quieted down.
Or
because you would, now it's the question of still, what is he? And if you had given him more minutes and we had seen what he is, the answer's there. Whereas now we still feel like we don't have an answer. It's like you never tried something.
And this is why one of the worst things the Suns could have done for themselves was go on that 4-game winning streak that they did, where they beat Milwaukee. Who else did they beat in that stretch? They beat another good, solid team that was a playoff team during that stretch. They won 2 games early in the stretch that were against non-playoff teams, and then they beat 2 teams, including Milwaukee, that were in the playoffs. And everybody went, oh, well, I know those first 2 games that were against some bad teams, but then they just beat 2 playoff teams. I can't remember who it was, but they beat Milwaukee and they beat somebody else. Maybe it was Cleveland they beat. I don't remember. I think they played Cleveland at home.
It was Toronto, Chicago, Cleveland, Milwaukee.
Yeah, so Cleveland, I part of me was just, I didn't want to say out loud that they beat Cleveland because I was like, I don't think this sounds right in my head, but they beat Cleveland and Milwaukee, and we started to convince ourselves that, perhaps they could close the gap on Dallas. And then Kyrie getting hurt opened the floodgates for us to think that this team might be able to backdoor their way into the NBA play-in tournament. And that came at the cost of playing Colin Gillespie more, playing Bol more, playing Ryan Dunn more, and really, truly getting a jump start on evaluating these players to figure out what you want to do. For the restricted free agents, I think it needs to be one of the main priorities that you bring Colin Gillespie back. Again, not a starter, but you're telling me that Colin Gillespie doesn't fit exactly the identity, exactly the toughness, the defensive intensity that this team is looking for? Again, not a starter, but that guy can't come off the bench and be a part of a second unit and continue to have that high energy. That's exactly the kind of guy I want on my team. That's exactly the kind of guy that I want if I'm building a brand new defensive tough identity. One of the things that I want to make sure we're all on the same page about when it comes to this new identity is, yes, there's going to be an investment in making sure we're better defensively with defensive-minded players. But part of the reason why the Suns were so bad defensively last year was an effort thing. It was just they didn't care enough on that end of the floor. Colin Gillespie cares enough on that end of the floor. So you're going to be able to raise your floor defensively. You're going to be able to make yourself a better defensive basketball team just by having more high effort, high intensity players.
How many times have we talked about on this show a trade of Kevin Durant may make them better just because it's going to change the intensity they play with and the defensive mindset they had. Last year, it was, how many free buckets did they give away late in the fourth quarter where you're like, come on, guys. And
they
just
rolled out the red carpet.
Outscored every night. It was hard to watch. It was same movie back to back to back.
Yeah, you're watching a sequel play out every single night. They were rolling out the red carpet, and they were just allowing anybody to score. And it was so bad that I got called out multiple times by Stan Van Gundy on national television when they played on TNT. I can vividly remember it was the first game out of the All-Star break, where we were kind of still flirting with the idea that this team was still playoff relevant. And the schedule was really soft at the beginning out of the All-Star break. And it was where we thought this team was going to have to make the most noise because they had a tough stretch coming up. And they came out of the All-Star break and they played San Antonio, and their defensive intensity was just missing. It was lacking. And it was like every possession down at that end of the floor, Stan Van Gundy absolutely ripped them for how poorly they were playing and how easy they were making it for San Antonio, who, if I remember correctly, didn't have Wemby for that game. So again, just having a better effort level is going to change things for this team. But looking at this group, do you want to have Grayson Allen back? Do you want to have Royce O'Neal back? Are you going to be able to find teams that will take on those contracts? These are all things that we have to pay attention to, that we need to keep an eye on, because you may not be able to change this roster as much as we all think you can because of some of the contracts and some of the players that you still have. So while we're waiting on the front office, while we're waiting on a Kevin Durant trade, we're waiting on all these things, don't forget about the other stuff that this team is going to have to do this offseason. When we come back, wrapping up hour number one of the program, 480-864-1060, the phone number if you want to join us. You can also join us over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Would love to hear from you over there as well. He might be the only guy we trust, but should we be worried about Justin Martinez? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
The Offspring. Supercharged worldwide in 25. One unforgettable summer night. The Offspring, live in Phoenix. With special guests Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory. Playing Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater August 27th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. 3 great bands. 1 incredible show. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Stars are shining down on Goldberg and Osborne. The Eagle has more than 2,200 5-star Google reviews from across Arizona, like these.
They go that extra mile to let you know they care. A wonderful experience.
They treat their clients like family, and their professionalism is the best in the business.
They made sure I got a great offer. Like a bulldog, they fought for me.
Well said, everyone. After any accident, remember, the bird is the word. Visit Goldberg and Osborne at 1-800-THE-EAGLE.com.
Are you tired of seeing rust stains in your sinks? Call Culligan. Or scrubbing hard water scale buildup from your fixtures. Call Culligan. We can customize whole home solutions to address common water worries found in Phoenix. And now, for a limited time, you can get better water at every tap in your home for $0 down, no payments, and no interest for 6 months. Problem water is no problem for Culligan. Contact your local water expert today. Contaminants may not be in your water. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for details.
How do you feel when you switch to Geico and save on your car insurance? It's like unloading the grocery bags from your car and you decide you can get all the bags in one trip.
I can do it.
So you load up all 14 grocery bags on both arms. Sure, you can't feel your fingers and forgot to take your house keys out.
Almost there.
But you never put down one bag and you made it inside all in one trip, like the bag-carrying boss you are.
Yes.
Yep, switching and saving with Geico feels just like that. Get more with Geico.
Midweek action on the Diamond here on KDUS AM 1060. Join ASU Baseball as they get ready for their 2-game series against Long Beach State. The Sun Devils are looking to hone their talents and earn themselves more wins as the season continues. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live. It's Game 1 between ASU Baseball and Long Beach State. Pregame at 6:15 p.m. and first pitch at 6:30 right here on KDUS AM 1060 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
We started the program breaking down the 3-game series that the Diamondbacks just had against the Atlanta Braves. And we said that there were 3 members of the team that we would put inside the circle of trust. VIP, exclusive, invite-only club of players on this team that we can reliably count on. We put Corbin Carroll in the circle of trust. We put Brendan Pfaadt in the circle of trust. And Justin Martinez, if we're going to put somebody from the bullpen in the circle of trust, is the only candidate that we would put inside the circle of trust. So 3 members, it's a 26-man roster, 3 guys are in the circle of trust for a team that's trying to win a division, that's trying to make the playoffs. Really tough when you've got 3 people in the circle of trust, and 2 of them are guys that don't contribute every single day. So the circle of trust in the Diamondbacks bullpen, very lonely. On the team, it is extremely lonely. And Justin Martinez is a part of that circle of trust. And I need to make an admission to all of you. Yesterday, the lone member of the bullpen side of the circle of trust, one of the 3 members of the entire team circle of trust, worried me to the point where I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the circle of trust. Justin Martinez's velocity all across the board was down yesterday. And not just down like 0.1 miles per hour, 0.2 miles per hour from his season average. No, a very noticeable difference. His splitter down nearly 2 miles per hour, 1.6 miles per hour from his yearly average. His sinker down 2.6 miles per hour from his yearly average. His four-seamer down nearly 3 miles per hour, 2.9. He only threw a couple of sliders. I think it was 2, 4.7 miles per hour down on the slider. When you see velocity dips for a pitcher across the board, that is the sound the alarms, bad things are happening. I'm incredibly concerned about this pitcher's health. And here's why this concerns me. We're already dealing with a pitcher right now. We are already dealing with a reliever, high leverage guy, our go-to closer, hands down, slam dunk. He's the guy that we're asking to get the last 3 outs. We're already coming off of a time where Justin Martinez had to be down for 6 days because of fatigue, because of dead arm. We opened a week of the show. I think it was last Monday. We opened the show saying Justin Martinez better be available the next time the Diamondbacks are playing, because if not, we need to officially be concerned about this. And we walk through all the reasons why not all of those days necessarily were a direct result of the fatigue. He worked 2 days in a row, so you're not going to pitch him on Friday during that game that they lost against the Cubs. A bunch of different reasons why he didn't pitch. He didn't pitch on the Sunday. That was where the red flag started to go up for us all. But he sat for 6 straight days without throwing, without appearing in a game for the Diamondbacks. He's just back from that 6-game stretch, 6-day stretch where he didn't throw. And already we may be right back in the case of he's got some fatigue issues. He may have some dead arm issues, or worst case scenario, there's something more seriously going on. And that leads us into the second reason why this concerns me. You've already got a bullpen right now that is banged up. AJ Puk, who knows? We've heard crickets on how long AJ Puk is going to be out for. We just know he got placed on the injured list. And it doesn't look like he's going to immediately come back when that injured list stint is expiring. And then you have a group right now across the board that is struggling. Again, the circle of trust only has Justin Martinez in it. He's the only representative from the bullpen. That's it. The only person I feel comfortable putting in our circle of trust. So Justin Martinez already, before this, had to be shut down for 6 days. Velocity is down yesterday. A bullpen that is banged up. A bullpen that is struggling. Nobody else to turn to. And even if this isn't something that requires him to be on the injured list, that it doesn't require them to shut him down, is anybody going to expect Justin Martinez to be available 2 days in a row right now? Does anybody anticipate Justin Martinez to get some high leverage where he may pitch 3 times in 4 days? Or is Torey Lovullo going to try to avoid that at all costs? He was asked about this after the game, and he obviously said, of course I'm concerned when I see that on the radar gun, when he's that far off from where he's normally sitting. And he talked about needing to take care of Justin Martinez, needing to take care of everybody out in that bullpen. Does that sound like a guy who's now going to all of a sudden, in the midst of a very important 16-game stretch that's coming up for this team, lean on him for 3 times in 4 days if that's what the situation requires? Or is Torey Lovullo going to try to find other ways to get those final 3 outs? And that comes with a great deal of concern, because the one guy that is reliable, the one guy who's throwing up zeros, the one guy who is lights out, has the electric stuff, is your high leverage arm. Nope. Producer Evan, I'll ask the question to you, and you speak for the people here on this one. So think about your answer very, very carefully. If we take away the fatigue issue, if we take away Justin Martinez sitting down for 6 days, and we take away the velocity issues yesterday, is there any reason, any other reason, to doubt Justin Martinez? Is there any reason to be concerned about Justin Martinez?
No.
Zero, right? No.
Not a single one.
That's how good he's been. He has been your high leverage, lights out ace reliever. If we were not having any of these issues, you're talking about one of the best closers in the National League, one of the best relievers in the National League. But now his availability comes into question. Now, they have an off day today. He pitched yesterday. With the off day today, one would anticipate he's available tomorrow when they start a 3-game series in New York against my New York Mets. Let's say they get the save on Tuesday and he gets the final 3 outs. I can tell you already he's not available on Wednesday. Not going to happen. He's not going to pitch on Wednesday, back-to-back days, 3 times in 4 days. It's not happening. They're going to be very careful, especially with these big red warning flashing lights about his velocity being down. So now what? Where does that leave us with a bullpen that it's already a house of cards? It's a house of cards that's crumbled a couple of times, and we've tried to rebuild it multiple times in just the last couple of days. Look at the roster moves that this team has attempted to make. Yolber Diaz up and down, hoping that they can get Kevin Ginkel back, calling up a handful of relievers after that Cubs game to try to get some reinforcements into this bullpen. They have tried everything in their power to try to turn this around. But this is where my concern level raises to a 10. If I have question marks about the closer of the baseball team, not because he's blowing leads left and right, but because I don't know how available he is going to be for this team. You know the old, I'm going to get this wrong, so producer Evan, help me out here. The old saying, if a tree falls and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? I think I was good.
Lines. Yeah.
I was okay.
Got the point of the story across.
If a bullpen doesn't have a closer, is it actually a bullpen you can trust?
No.
If Justin Martinez's availability is up in the air and AJ Puck is injured to the point where I don't know where he is going to be back, I don't know when or if he is going to return to this team. Do the Diamondbacks have a bullpen that you can even remotely ask to get 6 outs and feel confident in? 6 outs. I'm just talking the 8th and the 9th. Other than Brandon Pfaadt, I don't know if you're going to get 6 innings on a regular basis from any of your starters. This is the thing that can absolutely kill a baseball team. It can kill a season. It can end your chances of being a playoff relevant team before you even get to post-Memorial Day. And right now, the one guy, the only guy that constantly gets outs for this Diamondbacks bullpen, I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know how available he is. Does it make sense to potentially shut him down, give him an IL stint, let him work through it? Maybe. But then what? Then what does the next 16 games look like if he's not available? This is a major, major question mark. In hour number 2 of the program, we will try to figure out what they can do to help bridge this gap. But when we come back, free agency and the draft, they're in the books. How improved are the Arizona Cardinals? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Jaw-dropping stunts, high-flying tricks, heart-pounding excitement. Nitro Circus is back. The all-new off-the-rails tour. Gravity-defying thrill seekers and world-class daredevils at the top of their game. FMX, BMX, skate, scooter, and everything in between. Experience all new competitions that pit the best against the best in never-been-done showdowns. Nitro Circus. Friday, December 5th. Desert Diamond Arena. Join the action at Ticketmaster.com.
Get your to-do list ready. The Home Depot just opened a new store in Surprise. So whether you're making simple upgrades or full-on renovations, the Home Depot has you covered with great prices on tools, materials, rentals, and more. Plus, order online or with the Home Depot app and get it all delivered to your door fast and free. Visit us at 16601 Cactus Road in Surprise and start your next project today with the Home Depot.
At Shane Company, we love a spring engagement, but you might be wondering, how do I find the perfect engagement ring? As a trusted family jeweler since 1929, we get asked this a lot. We have a wide selection of ring settings, like vintage designs with romantic details, floral settings inspired by nature, and classic styles with clean lines and sleek metals. Dreaming of the most beautiful diamond you've ever seen? At Shane Company, we handpick only the sparkliest center stones in all shapes and sizes, from oval to round to marquise, and more. We have gorgeous natural and lab-grown diamonds at competitive prices, in-store, ready to compare side by side. Drawn to certain colors? We're known for our rainbow of vivid natural sapphires, including shades of blue, straight out of a fairy tale, handpicked by our owner, Tom Shane. At Shane Company, we have the best free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, plus resizing, repairs, and cleanings for life. Visit us at shaneco.com or in store. No appointment necessary. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Today at Denny's, buy an original Grand Slam or an All-American Slam and get another for just $1. It's the biggest, yummiest deal in America. One slam for $1. Only at Denny's. Valid at participating locations for dine-in only. Limited time offer.
As the old saying goes, size matters.
At Morgan & Morgan, we have over 1,000 lawyers and nearly 6,000 people on staff.
But at the core, this is and always has been a family business.
Our family watching out for your family.
Call us or email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on a Saturday or a Sunday.
And if you ever have a problem, call our mom.
Morgan & Morgan.
For the people and your family.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
The 12 o'clock hour of the lunch break. Appreciate you joining us here. Whether you're listening on KDUS AM 1060, you're streaming us on the app, or you're joining us over on the YouTube channel where you can watch the program. Appreciate you being here with us on the Monday edition, kicking off the week. The NFL draft in the rearview mirror. We got the schedule release in just a couple of weeks, May 14th. We'll get to play the everybody's favorite game where we predict the Cardinals win-loss total in May, and then at the end of the season, look back and see how stupid we were for some of the games that we said that the Cardinals would win or lose. The win-loss game coming to you next month here on the lunch break. How about that for a tease? A tease for something we're going to do probably 2-3 weeks from now. How about that?
It's the best game of the year.
It is my favorite game of the year, yes. It is because it's hope springs eternal. And when you do this, the win-loss game, when the schedule comes out, you just tend to give the team the benefit of the doubt more often than not, right?
Always.
If there's a close game, you're like, yeah, but look at what they did in the offseason. They've been so great, so we'll give them that one. So that's coming to you later on this month. Producer Evan, I have a question for you. Do you have the Cardinals draft class handy?
I do.
Okay, can you just read to me in order? We'll just go one at a time because I have a graphic in front of me from the official NFL Twitter account, where they had the colleges, the top 5 colleges with the most drafted players. And I want to compare that list with the list of who the Cardinals selected. So let's just go one at a time.
Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Ole Miss.
Yeah, so Ole Miss number 5 with 8 players selected in the NFL draft.
Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan.
Okay, so Michigan not on the list, but we love that pick, so no issues there.
Jordan Birch, defensive tackle, Oregon.
Oregon, number 4 on this list, 10 players selected in the 2025 NFL draft.
Cody Simon, linebacker, Ohio State.
Ohio State, number 1, 14 players selected in the NFL draft.
Denzel Burke, cornerback, Ohio State.
Number 1 with 14 players selected in the NFL draft.
Hayden Connor, guard, Texas.
Texas, number 3, 12 players selected in the NFL draft.
Is it Keaton Crawford?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Keaton Crawford, safety, Nevada.
Nevada not on the list, not on the top 5 list.
Really?
Yeah, didn't make it.
Next year.
Next year for Nevada. Next year they'll be in the top 5. That's it?
That's it.
So players from Ohio State, players from Texas, players from Oregon, players from Ole Miss. So the top 5 colleges with the most draftees, the Cardinals were dipping their hands in that bucket. That's where they went. Those programs, those winning institutions is where they went to try to improve their roster. And so now that the draft is behind us, now that the first major couple of waves of free agency are behind us, how improved are the Arizona Cardinals? And I think the right way to answer that question is to just ask yourself, do I feel better about this team going into 2025? Does this team have less holes on it, at least right now as we sit here in April? Do I feel like this team has less holes on it than I did when the season ended? When the season was over and you had your lasting image of what the Arizona Cardinals in 2024 were, spill over into 2025. When that season was done and you had a moment of reflection and you're like, man, this team could have been better X, Y, and Z. Do you feel better about all of those things after what they've done in free agency in the draft? Do you feel like they are an improved football team? Do you feel like there are less areas? This is to me what separates a team that has a super high floor but maybe a low ceiling, but a team that has a super high ceiling and it may be somewhat of a low floor is, are there any areas that worry me? Are there any weak spots where I go, this team's going to get exploited here? And last year, it was pretty obvious. All of us wondered, where are the Cardinals going to get the sacks from? Where are the Cardinals going to get protection from? And the other question we had was, did they have enough offensively? With Marvin Harrison Jr., with Trey McBride, Zay Jones, James Conner, did they have enough offensively? I think those were the questions we were asking going into last season. Going into this season, I think the question I have is Kyler Murray up to the task? The best offense that he has had during his tenure with this franchise. The best supporting cast that he has had. And that includes the protection up front. That includes what he has in the backfield. That includes the wide receiver group, the entire offense. It is the best supporting cast that he has had since coming to Arizona. On the defensive side of the ball, it is the best defensive roster that Jonathan Gannon has had since taking over as the head coach. And if there's anybody that I expect to get the most out of any player on the defensive side of the ball, it's a defensive-minded head coach like Jonathan Gannon. He is going to demand more out of this defensive class. He's going to demand more out of Josh Sweat. He's going to demand more out of Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell. He is going to extract the most from this defensive group. So you invested heavy resources. You have a head coach that is going to be able to get the most out of all of these players. Defensively, this is the best roster that they have had in a very long time defensively. Linebacker maybe on defense. You question how deep that group is. You question maybe could they get better at that group offensively. I'll still raise my hand and say I think they need another wide receiver. But other than that, isn't the one true burning question, okay, Kyler, now show us. Can you do this? Because since Monty and JG got here, I think we would all agree. You can always call us and tell us if we're wrong, 480-864-1060. This is the most talented roster that Monty and JG have put together since getting here. This is the most talented. It's the deepest. It's the most well-rounded. This is the best group. Now, let me make something very, very clear. That does not mean that they're all of a sudden going to win a ton of games. It does not mean that this team is going to go from where they were a year ago to being a double-digit win team like that, guarantee. Now, maybe when we do the win-loss game in May, we may get them to double-digit wins. It's a possibility. I think this is the most talented group that they've had in a really long time. But when the biggest question mark we have is about the guy under center, unfortunately, you can do all of this great work to fix your defense. You can do all of this great work in the draft and in free agency to fill and address a major hole on that side of the ball. You can do all of that. But if it's about the guy under center, if it's about the guy pulling the trigger and throwing the ball deep down the field, and it's the guy trying to make those big plays, if that's where all of our questions rely, then I don't know if there's any work that this team could have done this offseason that's going to make us feel settled and comfortable with where this team is at. Kyler Murray is going to have to answer the call. Kyler Murray is going to have to answer the bell here for this team. Because if you can't do it with this roster, and by no means is this roster perfect, but it's the best roster. Maybe this is a fun little thought exercise that we can do a little later on in the week, but I'm wondering aloud if this is the best roster Kyler has had since becoming the franchise quarterback of this team, since being the number 1 overall pick. I wonder if this is the most complete, best roster he's had. I wonder if it is, because my gut tells me it is. My gut tells me that this is the most talented roster he's had across the board on both sides, not just on the offense, not just his supporting cast. And so if you can't do it now, then I don't think you're going to do it here. And so all roads for the Arizona Cardinals lead back to the guy under center. All roads lead back to what he is going to be able to do. Are the Cardinals a better football team today? Yes, they are. Did the Cardinals ace free agency? Yes, they did. Did the Cardinals ace the draft? Yes, they did. I don't think you could have had a better offseason than the Arizona Cardinals had, because everybody knew what they were going to try to address this offseason. Everybody knew what they were going to try to do, and they still did it. They still were able to execute on their goal flawlessly. Now it is up to Kyler Murray to, with no excuses. There are 0 excuses for this season. There are 0, none. Not, oh, well, we needed this. No. This roster is potentially the best roster he's had. You've now got to go and get it done. You now have to go and find those results. And what allows you to be a high floor team is, I think, you're well-rounded. You're deep across the board. Your defensive rotation along the defensive line of the edge group, way deeper than it was last year. That allows you to get much more production out of that group. You added Will Johnson in the draft to help your cornerback room. That was somewhat of a luxury, although we thought it was a secondary need for this team. Great selection there to get a corner to add to that room. You're deep there. You're deep at offensive line. You've got top 3, top 5 tight end in Trey McBride. You have a young superstar wide receiver that's waiting to break out, Marvin Harrison Jr. You have the heartbeat of your offense in James Conner. You've got a great backup running back in Trey Benson who can break plays. It's up to you now, Kyler. This roster is tailor-made for you. That's what allows this team to have a high floor where they're going to be able to be in games late in the fourth quarter just because they have a very well-rounded deep group. Is this a more talented roster than the 2021 team? That's the one that jumps out to me as probably the best roster that Kyler has ever played with. You're going to need to learn something about me, producer Evan, very, very quickly. Most of the time, you can't just throw years at me. After COVID in 2020, everything's a blur. So you got to give me some names on the roster. You got to you just got to give me a frame of reference here. 2021 is after. 2021 is pre-Monty, and it's pre-JG, correct? Yep. So this is still Steve Keim. 2021 head coach is, I have no idea who the 20, is it Cliff? First Cliff year? Yeah, it's still Cliff. It's his second year. Second Cliff year. So this is the second collapse that they make the playoffs in. They start 10-0. Okay. But you look at that team, and obviously Kyler, James Conner had just gotten here. Okay. DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. They added Zach Ertz that year. AJ Green was on this team, believe it or not. Oh, this is the year. Correct me if I'm wrong. See, this is why you have to give me player names, because then the years it all comes together. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the year where AJ Green doesn't turn around when they're playing the Packers on Thursday night, or exactly, and he doesn't turn around and they lose the game. Rasul Douglas, the
interception to win the game.
They start the year, 10-3, I think, or 8-2 or something like that. They have a great start to the year.
And they finish 11-6.
And it's just see, you can't just throw years at me. You give me a little context clues. AJ Green's on the team. Boom, I got you.
But then defensively, too, obviously Budda Baker's still here, but
that team,
J.J. Watt at the end of his career.
And that team, they got off to the great start. So from a results perspective, yeah, you would say this was one of the more talented teams that Kyler has had, but it ended so poorly. It ended with the wild card loss that everybody is still trying to recover from when they lose to the Rams, and Kyler throws a bit of a fit on the sidelines.
That was bad.
It was not a good look. He's still, despite the maturity that I think he has undergone over the last couple of seasons, he is still trying to dig out of that mistake, of the way he conducted himself during that game.
34-11 loss to the Rams.
They were a complete no-show. They were a complete no-show for that game, and he was the chief culprit of that no-show. His body language was terrible.
The pick six was so bad.
I remember afterwards, people like breaking down his body language, like body language experts breaking down the way he was conducting himself on the sidelines. That's how bad it was. It was a really, really bad look. And unfortunately, it was the cherry on top of the complete backslide that they had in the second half of the season, where they just completely unraveled. And you point back to that Thursday night game when they played Green Bay, and AJ Green doesn't turn around. Kyler leads them all the way down the field, and they're unable to convert on that play because AJ Green doesn't turn around. And that was it. It was over from there. 480-864-1060, the phone number for you to join us here today on the program. We've also got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Shout out to our guy Michael, who says K1 and Drew need to go if they don't win a playoff game, period. I think if this team isn't in the playoffs, there's going to be some, you know what? We've got something for this. We are going to have some of those tough conversations. You don't make the playoffs. We're going to have tough conversations. You make the playoffs, lose a close game, there's some wiggle room. I think context is going to matter. But you miss the playoffs this year, we are going to have some of those tough conversations. And I think the tough conversations are, Kyler, you're out of here. Pack your bags. When we come back, it is not coming at the best time, but the Diamondbacks are about to face their first serious test of the season. Talk about it next. The lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
James Out West, your home for sports down here in the desert. Join James and Pat the Stat Guy as they recap the weekend and dive deep into the numbers for the NFL, NBA, college sports, and more.
That's 5 seasons of 1,200 yards.
Player stats, team numbers, and contracts are just the start of the discussion for James and Pat.
He started 815 career games. He threw 749 complete games.
There's no hiding when it comes to stats. It's James Out West every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060 and on the KTUS 1060 app.
An MLS showdown in the desert. Get ready for a night of top-tier soccer as Phoenix Rising hosts Major League Soccer's Houston Dynamo for the first time ever, Wednesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. It's a round of 32 clash in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and tickets start at just $9. The first 2,000 fans from the gates will score a limited edition Phoenix Rising t-shirt, and the night features fan-favorite drink specials throughout the stadium. It's more than a match. It's a moment. Bring the noise. Bring your jersey. Bring a friend or 5. Get your tickets now at phxrisingfc.com.
Nitro Circus is back with the all-new Off the Rails Tour. World-class daredevils and FMX, BMX, skate, scooter, and more. Jaw-dropping stunts, high-flying tricks, and never-been-done showdowns. Friday, December 5th, Desert Diamond Arena. Visit Ticketmaster.com.
Looking to sell your home? Hi, I'm Andrew the Home Buyer, and I love making it easy to sell your house. I'll personally come and give you a cash offer the same day we meet, and I'll beat any other offer. It really is that easy to sell your home, and no need to clean or fix anything. I'll buy it in as-is condition. Call me, Andrew the Homebuyer, today to get your same-day cash offer. Visit andrewthehomebuyer.com.
Hey, Mike Barrow from Barrow's Pizza here. The way we see it, family isn't just a cherished thing, it's everything. For us, that starts with our Grandma Angelina's family recipes brought over from Sarconi, Italy, like our sweet and tangy pizza sauce, 100% real mozzarella, and our fresh dough made every morning. And because every Barrow's is family-owned, never franchised, we personally make sure the quality's there at every location. So stop in and give Barrow's Pizza a try. It's authentic food from our family to yours.
Save on quality treats and eats during our Mother's Day event at Whole Foods Market. Discover only the best for mom with deals on flowers, candles, brunch favorites, decadent desserts, and more through May 11th. Shop in-store or online today.
This is Above the Noise. The Lakers came away looking like the big winners in the blockbuster Luka-Anthony Davis swap. Got younger, got a superstar in his prime, and they got a showman who can take the torch from LeBron. In the big picture sense, the move made all the sense in the world. But in the first-round series against Minnesota, not all wins come without consequences. The Lakers are down 3-1, and the cracks are becoming harder to ignore. Minnesota has relentlessly attacked LA's defense, a defense that lost its anchor when Davis was shipped out. Luka, for all of his brilliance offensively, isn't a good defender. LeBron is nearing 40 and can't cover the floor the way he once did. And without a true rim protector to clean up mistakes, LA has been exposed. Luka is still a top 5 player in the league, but the Lakers' identity, once built on physicality, rim protection, and playoff toughness, has shifted. The Lakers could once again be staring at an early playoff exit. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. You don't wear football cleats to play tennis, so why wear running shoes to play pickleball? Tyrol pickleball shoes make shoes built for how the game is really played. Quick cuts, fast stomps, gritty court surfaces. Tyrol has a Vibram outsole for grip, a wide toe box for comfort, and the kind of support that keeps your ankles out of trouble. We've tried them, and trust me, you'll feel the difference. Check them out at TyrolPickleball.com. Tyrol pickleball shoes, purpose-built for pickleball.
Rarely does a product come to the game of professional golf that is so quickly embraced by the pros. Shaden Precision Eyewear is that product. Go to SeeBetterPlayBetter.com and find out why Shaden sunglasses are trusted by tour players and their caddies. Shaden is so confident in the product, they are offering a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to SeeBetterPlayBetter.com and use the code VISION to receive 20% off your order. That's SeeBetterPlayBetter.com and the code VISION to experience golf's finest eyewear.
Attention all clones. The Jim Rome Show is here for you every day here on KDUS AM 1060.
Lots to get done. Welcome to the program.
Listen in as Rome dives into the biggest sports headlines of the day. From final scores, player contracts and trades, team prospects, and even a spicy take or two. The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. every weekday here on KDUS AM 1060.
That's the trick.
Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
A day off today for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but tomorrow will start what can only be described as a gauntlet. These are the next 5 series for the Arizona Diamondbacks. At the New York Mets, at the Philadelphia Phillies, home again to take on the New York Mets, home for a 4-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then a series out in San Francisco to take on the Giants. Mets, Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Giants. 3 road series against the Mets, the Phillies, and the Giants. This is the first tough test that this team is going to face. We knew what everybody in baseball was signing up for, especially in the National League. You knew what you were signing up for. This was going to be a melee for 162 games. A constant battle. There weren't going to be a ton of weak spots that popped up on your schedule. In fact, if we took a step back before the season and we saw Braves, Mets, Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Giants, you would say, man, add in those 3 games against Atlanta. Atlanta's off to a slow start this season, so that series took on a little bit of a different weight. But you have 2 division leaders, 3 playoff teams from a year ago, and your 2 chief rivals in the National League West. 2 division leaders in the Mets and the Giants that bookend this. 3 playoff teams from a year ago, the Mets, the Phillies, the Dodgers. And you're going to play 7 games of your next 16 against 2 of your chief rivals in the National League West. You finish up with 4 against the Dodgers and against the Giants. The first time you're going to see the Dodgers, the first time you're going to see Ohtani, the first time you're going to match up with that team that everybody all offseason long, all they could talk about was how great the Dodgers were, winning the World Series, going for a repeat. Your first chance to face them and see where you stand. This is the first serious test for this Diamondbacks team. This is a gauntlet. And oh, by the way, it doesn't get any easier because you're going to face the Dodgers a whole bunch more after this. You're going to face the Giants a whole bunch more after this. You haven't faced those teams in your division yet. You haven't faced the Padres yet. You've had a nice, somewhat easier start to the schedule than most, and now it gets started. And it is not coming at the best time. Concerns about the bullpen, concerns about Justin Martinez. You hopefully will get Ketel Marte back at some point during this 16-game stretch. And I hate to say this about a 16-game stretch in the beginning of May, but doesn't it feel like this is where we're going to learn about this team? Where we're going to learn if this team's in it for the long haul, despite their bullpen concerns, despite the injuries that have started to pile up for this team. Doesn't this feel like to everybody the 16 games where we're going to find out if this team belongs in the conversation with the Dodgers, with the Padres, with the Giants, who are off to excellent starts this season? This feels like the 16 games that you circle. And when it is over, we're going to be able to say one of two things. Diamondbacks rallied, they proved that they responded, or they proved that they belonged and responded, or we got a lot of questions about this team. Where do they go from here? Because they didn't show up against the Mets. They didn't show up against the Dodgers. They didn't show up against the Giants. Whatever the case may be, this feels like the pivotal moment of this season, even though we're only 28 games in. This feels like we're going to learn a ton about this baseball team. Without this, the team's just been kind of floating around, and we've all been saying it's early in the season. It's early in the season. Just let the season develop. Okay. Now you've got to show me that you belong against the Dodgers. I was the guy all offseason that said, I love what this team did. I think this team belongs. I think this team has an excellent rotation. I think this team can hang with the Dodgers. I think they're going to be the top wild card team. I put my money where my mouth was when it came to our MLB predictions. So I, before the season, believed that this team could handle this 16-game stretch. Now that we're in it, now that we've seen the first 28 or so games, I don't feel as confident. But here is a chance for them to prove all of us wrong. And truthfully, if they come out of this stretch well on the other side, if they answer the bell here, won't this kind of let us breathe a little bit easier about the way this team is playing to start the season?
Oh, 100%. I think even knowing what we know now, before all of the injuries in the bullpen and everything that's happened, you would still circle these 16 games in March and say, hey, that's going to be a real kind of week there where the D-backs are going to have to prove it. And it's about traveling to the East Coast and having to play at Citi Field and having to play at Citizens Bank Park and then coming home and getting your division rivals. You got the Dodgers, and then you got to go out to the Bay. One, that's a lot of travel. Mm-hmm. But two, to be those four teams, and I think we wouldn't have talked about San Francisco maybe 4 weeks ago like we do now.
They're atop the division.
But they're a good team who's atop of the division, and they continue to fight night in and night out.
Did you see the way the Giants won yesterday?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you see Ramos with the Little League walk-off home run?
It was awesome. I wasn't rooting for them by any means, but it was awesome.
The Texas Rangers were throwing the ball around like it was a Little League game on a Saturday yesterday. Or was it Saturday that this happened, or was it Sunday? It was one day over the weekend where the Giants walked it off. Ramos had a Little League home run. He hit a ball.
That was yesterday.
On the middle of the infield. Didn't even leave the infield. The Rangers threw it around the diamond. Just threw it all over the place. And Ramos pulled into second base. Was gearing down and then realized where the ball was and took off. Then they threw the ball to third. It got away then, and then he was able to score. Just when things are going your way, things are going your way. And that was one of those days where things were going the way of the Giants, who right now lead the NL West. This is, if they come out of this 16-game stretch and they answer the call against enough of these teams, right? And to your point, there's a lot of travel involved with this. And this 3-road series against the Mets, the Phillies, and the Giants. And on the road, I don't think you're expecting to win 2 out of 3, or you're expecting to win the series. You're just expecting to not get swept, to be competitive, to hang around. I think there's a world where this team can come out of the other side of this and can make us feel better about our concerns with the bullpen, can make us feel better about our concerns with some of the defensive mistakes that this team is making, with the lack of offensive production from the bottom part of the lineup. Although Eugenio Suarez, 4 home run day the other day. So feels like maybe they're turning around a little bit offensively. There is a pathway for us to get to the other side of this 16-game stretch and feel better about this baseball team. The worry that I have is the Mets are no slouch. The Phillies are not going to roll over easily. The Dodgers, the Giants, you're going to be in close ball games in the 7th, the 8th, the 9th inning. What do you need to get through those moments? You need a bullpen that you can trust. And our entire message today about this team is how concerned we are about this bullpen. And I'm here to tell you, I can predict it now. They're going to play 16 games, more than half of them. There's going to be some key bullpen decisions that Torey Lovullo is going to have to make. And you just have to hope that they're able to make the right decisions, that Justin Martinez gets his velocity back. And we're not dealing with an issue where he's got to sit down again, and you get some reinforcements and some of the guys that are down there in the bullpen begin to step up. That is going to be the thing that keeps this team afloat and allows them to potentially thrive during this 16-game stretch, because you can see a world where things go sideways. They continue to go downhill for this team during this stretch. And now we have all sorts of questions because Memorial Day is going to roll around. And that's really when you start to gauge where teams are at. Really important stretch starting tomorrow for the Arizona Diamondbacks. When we come back, the bullpen, we've been talking about it all day. It has become a major, major sore spot. So what can the Diamondbacks do about it? That's next. The lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
It's 50 times stronger than heroin. It's the leading cause of death for Americans age 14 to 45, and it's everywhere now. 7 of 10 illegally made pills contain it. We're talking about fentanyl, and we hope you talk about it too with your teen and all the young people in your life. It's okay to be the buzzkill. Learn more at fentanylfreeaz.com. This message is brought to you by the Arizona Department of Child Safety.
Ghost World Tour 2025. Ghost Theatrical Heavy Metal Arena Rock. August 11th, Footprint Center. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Ghost.
Hear that? That's the sound of a loaded cash explosion. It happens every time someone wins loaded cash explosion scratchers from the Arizona lottery. Oh, it's happening again. Since tickets are loaded with $1,000 prizes with explosive top prizes of $2.5 million. Plus, a second chance to win $1 million in the Players Club. Head to an Arizona lottery retailer and play loaded cash explosion scratchers today.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We have unlimited data that never slows you down, covered by the Verizon 5G network, and all for less than $30 a month when you get 4 lines. And the best part, we give you a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G when you switch to the 5G Unlimited or 5G Plus Unlimited plan. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
I'm sure everyone says this, but my mom really deserves the world. This year, I finally found a Mother's Day gift that comes close. She loves Hellsberg, so I'm getting her these timeless gold earrings she can enjoy for years to come. They feel special enough to show how much I truly appreciate everything she does for me. And I mean everything. I even sent my dad a link to the Diamond Eternity band he'll be getting her, too.
Save up to 50% on Mother's Day gifts Mom will cherish forever. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I'm Kevin Rowe from Lerner & Rowe, and we've been serving Arizonans for 20 years. Make the best choice after an accident. Call 977-1900. That's 977-1900.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900. 977-1900.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind. Oh my. Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
We can spend the entire program today complaining about the Diamondbacks bullpen. We could do that. We've done some of that here today on the show. But what we should also do is try to give solutions. Try to chart a course forward. And so with this problem that the Diamondbacks are having, they have a closer who don't know if he's going to be available, don't know what his velocity is going to look like, a rest of the bullpen. You don't know who your eighth inning guy is going to be. You don't know who you can count on. Guys are in and out because we're making a bunch of transactions. AJ Puck is hurt. What can this team realistically do with this bullpen? Let's try to come up with some solutions. And you can start to get the sense that the Diamondbacks are poking around, that they understand the spot that they are in. They understand how critical it is for them to stay afloat right now and not let this season flip upside down before we get to Memorial Day, and they don't have a chance to fight back in it. The National League it's a battle. It is a war. You just got to stay afloat. You have to stay close enough to be within striking distance where one hot stretch in August and September can get you over the top and get you in. Bob Nightingale of USA Today, random piece of information, random note in one of his stories over the weekend that the Diamondbacks, and we know they had interest in Cardinals reliever Ryan Helsley during the offseason, but they have reportedly maintained that interest in Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals even up to this point. They might be poking around a little bit to see if Ryan Helsley is available. The issue with trying to go the trade route is, other than producer Evan, can you pull up the standings in Major League Baseball? Could you do that for me?
Of course I can.
Because other than the Chicago White Sox and the Colorado Rockies, I don't know how many teams I would truly put in the bucket of you're out of this already.
Specifically looking at the Cardinals, the team that Ryan Helsley currently plays for, they are 12-16, 4.5 back in the NL Central.
Where are they back of a wild card spot? They're 4.5 back of the division, but what are they back of a wild card spot? Just to because that's really the thing that's going to determine this for teams. It's not where they sit in the division. It's how close are we to one of those final three spots? Because what you'll see more often than not is not teams that choose to buy instead of sell. They'll just choose to stand pat and roll with their group to see if they can do. Remember the Tigers last year? Traded Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers, so they sold a little bit, and then they went on that incredible run to get in at the end of last year. You'll see teams that will try to do that. Okay, maybe we'll sell a piece here or there, or we won't do a whole lot. We'll just roll the dice. So if they're close enough, they're going to try to hold on to staying in the mix for as long as they can.
They are 3 games out.
See? So not interested in making any major moves right now when I'm 3 games out of a playoff spot. So it's going to be tough in that regard. But also, if you are able to make a trade, it's for a lower leverage reliever, a guy that may be a roster casualty when somebody comes back from the injured list and maybe isn't even that good in the first place. It's hard to see them making an outside addition in early May. Maybe when we get to the end of May, maybe when the calendar flips to June, you start to hear the noise. You're going to start to get those think pieces of these teams are interested in buying, these teams are interested in selling, and the names and the trade deadline activity is going to start to pick up. And there's definitely value in trying to strike first and make that move way ahead of everybody else to maybe try to set the price. but it takes two to tangle. It's very hard to do. You have to have a willing team that's interested in selling. And in the National League in particular, how about this? Evan, how many teams in the National League right now are within 5 games of a wild card spot? Maybe it'll be easier for you to tell me how many teams are not within 5 games of a wild card spot.
It's everybody but the Rockies.
Everybody but the Rockies in the National League are within 5 games of a wild card spot. What about the American League? How many teams are within 5 games of a wild card spot right now?
Everybody but the White Sox.
So my gauge on this was pretty good. Other than the Rockies and the White Sox, it doesn't feel like anybody has put themselves into the bucket of we're not competing this year. We're not in the mix. Now, allow a couple more weeks to roll off. Allow us to get into the middle of May. Allow us to get to Memorial Day. And you are going to start to see some teams join the Rockies and join the White Sox in being sellers. We're just not there yet. So it's going to take some time. So an outside addition, not going to happen. So what can this team do internally right now? I think hands down one thing, and they may have already started to do this a little bit. I'm sorry, but Shelby Miller, while this was not my intended role for him, he's my 8th inning setup guy. He's my backup closer. When Justin Martinez is unavailable, when I get to the ballpark, and I'm told by everybody involved, pitching coach, medical staff, everybody, we come to the meeting table before a game and we know which relievers are available and which relievers aren't, right? We have that meeting. Can't use this guy tonight. Should probably try to stay away from this guy tonight. When Justin Martinez is not available, when we have that meeting and I'm told that Justin Martinez can't go tonight, Shelby Miller is my backup closer. Shelby Miller is the guy that I try to hold for the final 3 outs. He's my permanent 8th inning guy, and he's my backup closer. Again, these are temporary measures. They're temporary measures until you get Kevin Ginkel back. They're temporary measures until you potentially get AJ Puck back. Temporary measures until you maybe make an outside addition. But I've got to look at the group that I have. I have to see this group, and I have to try to put them in the best positions possible. And so one of the things I think I can immediately do that's going to help me, that's going to give me a better chance, is Shelby Miller is my permanent 8th inning guy, and he's my backup closer. Not how I saw this going at the beginning of the season, not how we probably would have orchestrated this bullpen, but we are here now. We have to make the best of a bad situation. Shelby Miller is my 8th inning guy. Justin Martinez in the 9th, Shelby Miller in the 8th. What also may need to start happening is some high leverage spots need to go to Juan Murillo and to Dre Jameson. I know Jameson's coming off of an injury. I know Juan Murillo is a guy that you just called up to just give you reinforcements, to give you some bodies out there, but he's been excellent in the limited work that we have seen from him. And I wonder if Torrey at some point goes, you know what? Everything else we're doing is not really working consistently enough for us. Let's see what Dre Jameson looks like in the 7th or 8th inning of a close game where we ask him to get 3 outs. Juan Murillo, you're going to get 3 outs today in the 8th inning. And not every day, it's not the go-to, but maybe you try to sprinkle in some high leverage situations for those guys, because what if one of those guys takes to that role and now you're off to the races and things are just going swimmingly. And now, while you're waiting for Kevin Ginkel, while you're waiting for Kendall Graveman, while you're waiting for AJ Puck, you now at least have a patchwork bullpen that the boat's leaking, and at least these guys are patching up holes and new holes aren't forming. We still need to come in there and get rid of the duct tape and do some actual work to the boat, but the duct tape is working right now. That's what the Diamondbacks are looking for. They're not looking for the full-blown makeover to the holes on the boat. They're looking for the duct tape to just hold things steady right now until the reinforcements can come, until the construction crew can get there to fix the boat. That's what they're trying to do right now. So Shelby Miller being inserted into the 8th inning role, my backup closer when Justin Martinez is not available, that's an easy move to make, and you're starting to see how they're choosing to utilize Shelby Miller kind of in line with that. And then you know what? I'd give other guys an opportunity in some high leverage situations. I would give them a 7th inning in a close spot. Shelby's not available, I would give one of those guys an 8th inning. You have to try these things. I'm not normally the guy that likes to tinker and try things with your bullpen. I said this when we were having the spring debate on who the closer should be. I like defined roles. I like knowing who's doing what when I roll up to the ballpark if I'm a manager. But right now, you don't have guys in defined roles. We need to find those defined roles. So let's try some stuff. Let's throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. What if we just took a shot? Right. Let's just put some stuff out there and see what works. Let's see if we can Ask Dre Jameson, and he's the duct tape that fixes the 7th inning. Let's see if that is a potential outcome when you've got a 16-game stretch coming up, when you're playing the best of the best in the National League. I mean, you name a who's who of the top of the National League, it includes all of the teams that the Diamondbacks are going to face. They cannot survive this 16-game stretch without a bullpen that they can trust.
It's going to be crazy to see what they do if this Justin Martinez thing lingers on.
Well, I didn't even in our conversation just now about potential solutions. I'm assuming that Justin Martinez is available on a semi-regular basis. You're right. If he isn't available and this is a problem where every single day it is a roll of the dice of whether or not Justin Martinez can go, you've got a whole new set of problems.
And then when does Kevin Ginkel come back? The fear is you rush him back. He's not ready. If he goes back, they need depth in this bullpen so bad. And I just don't know what it looks like. What does, maybe they have 25, 26, 27 of outs down with Justin Martinez, but what do they do from outs 18 to 24? I mean, they don't have anybody to find them.
It is a roller coaster every single day right now for this team. They called up a reliever to help them get some reinforcements. I mean, they're just trying anything at this point. You look across the board, Justin Martinez's ERA this season is a 0.9. Shelby Miller, who we said, hey, give him the 8th inning role, has got a 0 ERA so far this season. Jalen Beeks, who's been overall really good, he was part. See, that's the other thing too. You look at some of the guys who have been, consistently relied on. Was it Saturday's game that Jalen Beeks gave it up? I think it was the Eugenio Suarez 4 home run game.
It was Saturday night
where Jalen Beeks gave it up. And so now one of the guys that you think are all reliable, you think are one of the few guys you can trust, he gave it up over the weekend. His ERA ballooned to a 2.25. So they've got to try to find something. They've got to try to find a working group here that they can roll out every single day. But it is a sore spot right now for this baseball team. Want to hear from you. Last calls before we get out of here. 480-864-1060. This is my call to you. You got to do something. You got to get in here. 480-864-1060. You can also join us over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. We've got the leftovers when we come back, all the stories that we didn't get to throughout the course of the show. Producer Evan has those for us when we come back. So lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alicio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alicio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
80% of youth in Arizona don't drink, smoke, or use drugs. Want to know the reason why? It's you. Kids say not disappointing their parents is one of the main reasons they choose not to drink or use drugs. Visit talknowaz.com because while you might worry you aren't getting through, you are. Keep it up and stay up to date about the latest Arizona drug trends at talknowaz.com. Sponsored by Substance Awareness Coalition Leaders of Arizona.
And 3 days grace. October 8th at Desert Diamond Arena with special guest Return to Dust. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Don't miss Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace, presented by the Big Red Radio.
As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats. 1 minute you're ordering today's inventory, and the next you're planning tomorrow's expansion. It's complicated, but your business credit card should be simple. With the Signify Business Cash Card by Wells Fargo, you earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases for your business with no caps or categories to track. Signify Business Cash, the deliberately simple business credit card. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply.
Everyday savings, energy efficiency, rebates. Every day at APS, you have ways to save energy and money. We know how important it is to keep your bill as low as possible. That's why we offer programs to help you manage your energy use. Schedule a home energy checkup for savings recommendations tailored to your home. Find rebates on smart thermostats. Compare your rate plan options and switch to the plan that would have saved you the most money. Find ways to save at aps.com/brighter.
Midweek action on the Diamonds here on KDUS AM 1060. Join ASU Baseball as they get ready for their 2-game series against Long Beach State. The Sun Devils are looking to hone their talents and earn themselves more wins as the season continues. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, will have the call live. It's Game 1 between ASU Baseball and Long Beach State. Pregame at 6:15 p.m. and first pitch at 6:30 right here on KDUS AM 1060 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
Back to wrap up today's program. Appreciate you all joining us here on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. Whether you're streaming us on the app, you're watching us on YouTube, however you consume the show, we greatly do appreciate it. We hand the program off to producer Evan. It's the leftovers, all the stories that we didn't get to throughout the course of the show. I have no idea what is coming, so producer Evan, take it away.
All right, with the end of the 2025 NFL Draft, Pro Football Focus released their 2026 NFL Draft big board.
Oh, boy.
So I want to get into it.
Okay.
And I want you to immediately react to some of these guys.
Hold on. I've got something for this.
I'm a huge nerd.
Okay, I needed to play that for you.
Have to get into it already. Number one on their big board is Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State. Nothing else to be said.
Okay,
This guy's a stud.
Sorry. You said big board, but I didn't hear big board. I heard mock draft, and that was an area I didn't want to go to. Okay, big board. I'm good with this. You doing top 5, top 10? What are we doing here?
Let's do top 10.
Okay.
And then I'll list you where some of the Arizona State guys fall.
Okay. So Max Hennichor, not a top 10 prospect in the way too early 2026.
No.
It's unfortunate. No. I think he's going to be a first rounder next year.
So Caleb Downs, one, safety, sophomore out of Ohio State.
Okay.
Number 2, TJ Parker, the edge rusher out of Clemson.
Okay.
Number 3, Peter Woods, the edge rusher out of Clemson.
Okay.
Number 4, the franchise savior for whoever selects him, Arch Manning, quarterback, Texas.
I was wondering when the first quarterback would be on the board, and I anticipated it to be Arch Manning. Now, listen, let's just tell everybody the truth here. Let's tell it like it is. Last year, at this time, Cam Ward was not viewed as the QB1, the guy that was going to go number 1 overall in the 2025 NFL draft. So you have to take all these things with a grain of salt. You have to let the process play out. You have to let the season play out. The Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, the scouting combine, the interviews, everything play out. And then when the 2026 draft rolls around, we'll see. It does feel like Arch, because of his last name and because of how well he played last year, is going to always be in that conversation. But let's see. Let's just wait and see.
Number 5, Cade Klubnik, quarterback, Clemson.
Yep. Okay.
Number 6, Caden Proctor, the tackle at Alabama. Number 7, couldn't believe he was this high, but I am a big fan, is Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Number 8, Jermod McCoy, cornerback, Tennessee.
I'm waiting for you to say a name that you have not said yet.
Number 9, I struggle with this one, but it's Francis Muago.
Okay,
Muaga.
sure. You probably butchered that, but we'll just move on.
Tackle, Miami.
Yeah.
And then Spencer Fano is 10, tackle, Utah.
You did not mention Drew Aller's name.
No, who falls all the way down to 17.
Was it an interesting decision by him to not declare for this draft and then to stay another year? I think it was
I couldn't believe that, actually.
Good decision.
Do you?
I think it's a good decision because I think another year I think he would have been. It would have been very Anthony Richardson-like, where it's a raw projection. And I think him getting another year where he can be in the college system and get those reps, I think it's going to be really, really helpful for him. Do I think it's going to shoot him up the board to be QB1? I don't know. I don't think so. But I do think it's going to allow him. I think if he came out in this year's class, he would have been part of that Will Howard, Kyle McCord kind of area of picks. And I think he has a decent chance of having his floor be a very high day 2 selection next year.
See, I thought it's opposite. Next year's a heavier quarterback class, in my opinion. 6'6", 240, just the natural attributes he has. I thought he would have been higher this year just because if you wanted the better athlete, he would have been probably the second best athlete at quarterback in this class.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the same draft where Dylan Gabriel went probably 3 rounds ahead of where he should have gone. So
Yes.
teams are weird with quarterbacks. And so it is a big risk, but I think it's one that'll pay off for Drew.
Very weird. But then I'll give you where some of the Arizona State guys fall. Number 14, Jordan Tyson.
Oh, love that.
Love seeing that.
Love seeing that in the top 15.
Not too far behind Drew Aller, 22, Sam Levitt.
Sam Levitt inside the top 25. Wow. I would not have had that on my bingo card, but again, you love to hear it.
And those are the only two that are on the list. They only gave us 25.
Oh, they only gave us 25. Okay, I was going to say, because Max is certainly a top 50 player in this class right now as it stands.
I agree.
So, okay, if they only won 25, listen, a couple ASU guys in there, love that. Love to see where the quarterbacks settle. The draft never stops, folks. Just because the 2025 draft's in the books, the work already begins. I'm already starting to kind of to chart what I want to do in the summer for watching some guys and getting a head start on my 2026 draft work. Because I love the draft. I love doing it, even if it's just a personal hobby, so that when the draft season rolls around, I feel comfortable talking about all these players with you. I'm very excited. I'm ready to start the work for 2026.
Speaking of the draft, moving on to our next story, Warren Sharp does a great job every year. I showed you this article in the morning meeting, but this is essentially, it's a new metric that he does. It's called draft capital over expectation. So
huge nerd.
It has nothing to do with opinion. It takes mocks and rankings and tells you where everybody thought this player would be drafted and where you drafted him. So if you have a negative score, you've done well. If you have a positive score, you've drafted these guys too high. Atlanta, believe it or not, was first with a negative 1.93.
Yeah, I think there should be a correction to this. There should be an adjustment, because when you trade away your first round pick in next year's draft, you should get punished for doing so when you do it the way that the Atlanta Falcons did it.
Yes, just because they are first, I still think they had a horrible year.
I did not think it was the best draft for them, especially when you consider the cost that they gave up to go get James Pierce Jr.
Number 2 is Cleveland.
This is so predicated on
Shedeur Sanders
and where he was on everybody's big board and them getting him where they got him in the 5th round, even though they passed on him, 4 times.
So you have to wonder, how far does that skew them at 2?
Yeah.
And then at 3, after 2 teams that we talked about, one taking Shedeur Sanders that threw off the metric, and the other one saying, well, they did trade a first-round pick. The 3rd team, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and there's no caveat to them the way there is to the first 2 teams, right?
No.
They did really well. I think they had a very excellent couple of days, and I think more so than getting Paris Johnson Jr. and more so than drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. and having the big first rounds that they've had the last couple of years. And again, we'll see what happens with these players. They have to go out there and play. I think they definitely got a couple of starters in this draft class, but the process, man, to draft where they did, to have the limited draft capital that they did when the draft started, to accomplish what they were able to accomplish, I think you need to tip your cap to Monty and the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, the first 2 picks, Walter Nolan and Will Johnson. I mean, that's a dream. That is a dream scenario for the Cardinals with what they were able to accomplish over the first 2 days. So you tip your hat. I think they had an excellent job, and not surprised to see them getting the praise that they've gotten.
We discussed Will Johnson as the pick at 16 multiple times.
Mel Kiper had a mock draft where he was the 16th overall pick in the mock to the Cardinals, and they got him at 47. So just a great job.
Moving on to baseball. MLB this week obviously produces their power rankings on Monday mornings. Your Mets jump up all the way to number 1.
Tough week for me here on the program. Tough week for me. My team that I grew up rooting for plays the team that I cover here. We're going to be objective here on the program. We're going to call it like it is all week long. I can promise you for these 2 series that the Diamondbacks are going to play against the New York Mets. But yeah, besides yesterday, they've been playing some good baseball.
Dodgers at 2, Cubs at 3, Padres 4, Tigers 5, Giants 6, Yankees 7, Mariners 8, Rangers 9, 10 is the Guardians, and falling at 11 is our Arizona Diamondbacks, falling 2 spots from last week where they were at 9.
Yeah, they're sliding because there's a lot of questions right now about this team, specifically with their bullpen, specifically with, I think, the bottom of the order offense. There are legitimate questions about this team right now. Now, you play 162 games for a reason, and I think they'll get back to the level we think they can be, but yeah, there's a lot of questions right now. The Tigers, the surprise team, I think, inside that top 10. That's going to do it for us here on this edition of The Lunch Break. Appreciate you being here. Jim Rome is coming up next. Producer Evan, thank you for all that you do. Everybody, have a great rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya.